I ghosted my best friend of 22 years after she confessed how she destroyed her mom's fiancé's life 14 years ago. About a month ago, my best friend, we're both 28 female, made a confession. Since then, I've gone no contact with her. No one in our circle knows why. Her boyfriend has been reaching out to me on her behalf, as well as her sister. I haven't said much, except that we're no longer friends and I don't want any contact with her. I truly have no one to unload this to, so I'm unloading it here, as it's been weighing heavily on my heart. I'm not sure if anyone in real life would believe me if I told them anyway, as my ex-best friend is someone who presents herself as kind, inclusive, caring, and trustworthy. Up until she made her confession, that was how I viewed her as well. I'm going to refer to my ex-best friend as Leah moving forward. This happened when we were 14, over a decade ago. Her mom was engaged to a guy that Leah didn't like. He was strict, controlling, tried to parent her, etc. Then Leah accused him of touching her inappropriately. I don't remember all the details from back then. I just remember Leah being pulled out of school for the remainder of the year, and detectives talking to me about anything I had witnessed, as I had spent the night over on multiple occasions. From what I was told later, the whole thing went to trial, and the guy was found guilty of third-degree SA and sentenced to time in prison. Fast forward to last month, Leah and I had gotten together to do some holiday shopping. We hung out at my apartment afterward and had drinks. She seemed really down, which I had noticed throughout the day. I asked her about it a couple of times, and she kept saying it was nothing. After a few drinks and reminiscing about our childhood, she eventually confessed to me that 14 years ago, she had lied about her mom's fiancé doing things to her. She hated the guy because he was strict and controlling, gave her rules and enforced them, made her do chores, and basically tried to parent her when he wasn't her biological dad. She didn't want her mom marrying him and knew that the only way her mom would break up with him was if she accused him of doing something to her. When it came to trial, she was crying on the stand, and I guess it made her more believable to the jury than her mom's fiancé. Since then, Leah has been feeling extreme guilt over her actions. She's had recurring depression over the years, and she said it stems from this. No one else knows. Her therapist and her boyfriend believe that her depression is a result of her being SA'd as a minor. I don't know what to think. It happened so long ago. I tried to understand Leah and justify her actions because she was 14 at the time. Certainly, she didn't know the impact her actions would have made. But in the end, I felt sad and disgusted. She stole a man's freedom. She weaponized an experience that real victims go through. I just couldn't be friends with her anymore, so I ghosted her and didn't tell anyone why. Now all of our friends and family think I'm this big jerk. To be honest, I don't even really care. I'm grieving the loss of 22 years of friendship, as well as the life of a man who served time for a crime he didn't commit. Now for the top comments. That man didn't just serve time, she ruined his life. He will forever be known as a child predator. He is a felon for life. The right thing for her to do would be to clear that man's name. Not only did she crap on real victims and the horrific experiences they go through, she screwed that man's life forever. She knew exactly what she was doing when she was 14. She knows the difference between right and wrong. The fact that she let it go all the way to court to get this man convicted? She is an absolutely reprehensible human being, and the only way she could make this right is if she fessed up and got that man's felony expunged. But that would mean actually having to admit what she did to more than just you while she was drinking. Maybe you should tell her why you have decided not to be her friend anymore, and tell her the only way you would even consider being her friend again is if she made it right for that guy. That was part of our conversation the night she confessed. I told her she needed to step up and fix this. Telling just me wasn't going to clear that man's name. But she kept saying over and over, I can't, and that everyone would see her as a monster. In the end, she isn't going to tell anyone else. She made it pretty clear to me that confessing to me would be the first and only time she ever confesses. She knows in her heart why I have cut her off. Then it's on you now. First, call Leah. Tell her that you're not ending the friendship because of what she did, which is abhorrent. You're ending the friendship because she's a weak a-hole who keeps whining I can't, while a man rots behind bars. You're ending the friendship because she's more worried about her social standing than a man's freedom. That's not the kind of BS you want in your life. Tell her that if she has any self-respect or respect for anything other than her social world, she will come clean and set things right. Give her 24 hours. Then tell everyone you know what she said. Write out a statement, sign it, and have it notarized. Do it now while it's fresh in your mind. Write down everything she said that you can remember. Then find that guy and get in contact. Tell him that Leah confessed to everything and that you will testify in court if you have to. Tell him that wherever his lawyer is, you will send this signed statement, and that will be enough to reopen the case, since the only evidence that convicted him was her testimony. The man's name should be cleared, and she is a POS. Yes, if she's truly remorseful, she should dedicate every free moment to clearing his name, which honestly never fully happens. I worked with a woman whose brother-in-law was in prison for the same thing. When the stepdaughter's guilt got the best of her, she and her mom began trying to get him out of prison. Even though the young woman admitted she lied, the last I knew, the guy was still in prison. Tragic. Losing your freedom, income, reputation. So much. Next story. Update. I am petty and won't help a friend make up with a group. Original post. I have an ex, Michael, long story, but it's in my bio. And he would basically make me sick, literally using my food allergy to get back at me whenever he got upset with me. He was abusive. I can see and say that now. It was a horrible time, honestly, and I can't hate him enough. About a year ago, he was non-stop stalking me. I had to harass the police, turn on my phone camera to record myself coming and going everywhere, and keep friends on alert too. My head was on a freaking swivel. We put together hours of footage, and I found a lawyer willing to take my case. With his help, I finally got a restraining order. I moved in with some girls I knew through friends who needed a roommate, and sold almost everything I owned to afford the move so quickly. Now he isn't allowed to be near me, but I still find myself feeling cagey in public. I've started going out with my roommates and friends more, and I'm just a hard person to meet up with at the bar. I only eat food made by people I trust or from restaurants. If I don't trust you, I'm not eating it. I might pretend to nibble, but I won't actually eat it. I carry granola bars and pistachios in my bag just in case. It makes me feel isolated and sad, but I can have panic attacks if I try to push too far out of my comfort zone. I feel like the wet blanket of my friend group and feel bad every time I decline an invite. Well, New Year's Eve happened, and we all went to a friend's place for dinner. It was a potluck, so I made a couple of dishes I could eat, and I knew I could eat the food my 3 roommates made because I do trust them. I didn't eat anything outside of this. This isn't new to most people, but it did become a topic of conversation when someone in the group we'll call Tammy started to make comments. I tried to change the subject, as did my roommates and other friends, but she flat out asked, "What's your damage anyway?" and left. I started to tear up, and she waved it off like, "Oh, don't be sensitive. I'm just joking," or whatever. So I just broke down crying. She sort of panicked and said, "Oh crap, are you seriously crying? Damn girl, okay." And I got so angry. So I told her that I have an ex who fed me food I was allergic to and would put stuff in my food as a form of control. That I'm in therapy but have deep PTSD. That it's hard for me to go out to dinners. And this was one of the first times I tried because it was a potluck. And I knew I could hang out for the New Year's celebration. That my roommates and I were excited because I could try to do something normal after the abuse I suffered. And that now I felt like I should just leave. Tammy got really quiet and just went to another room. My roommates managed to mostly distract me, and we did have some fun. We did the countdown, and I even had a few drinks and loosened up a bit. I thought that was it, but Tammy apologized via text. She then requested that I tell everyone that she apologized and that we're good now, so she could stop being iced out of the group. I asked my roommates, and they shared that after Tammy left the room, most of the people there, aside from her husband, were cold to her and avoided her. She felt so out of place that they left before the countdown. And now a bunch of the friend groups there have stopped inviting her out or have outright canceled plans with her. Tammy was practically begging me to tell everyone that we're all good now, and I won't be doing that. She did apologize, and I accept that apology, but I won't lie and say we're good. I dealt with a lot of isolation after I left my home church and went agnostic, so I know how hurtful and damaging it can be, but I can't lie and say we're good. Even if she was drunk What she did and said deeply hurt me and made me not want to try to go out again after almost a year of therapy to get me past this. I work from home and go to the same 3 bars, almost exclusively with a trusted friend, and that's it. That's the extent of me going out. I have a vision board where I'm working myself up to taking a vacation out of town by this time next year, and I feel like that party was a step forward. But she put me 3 steps back. So heck, it might be mean, but screw her. It's not my fault or my problem that people saw an issue in the way she treated me. Oh, and her excuses were that she was drunk and that she's been upset ever since we met 6 months ago at the housewarming and I didn't eat her food. She said she tried to find out what foods I like, but I didn't eat that at the next gathering, and so on and so on. And for some goddamn reason, it became her life mission to have me eat her food. Why? Because she's cooked since she was a child, and everyone loves her food. She caters for events. So, how dare I not eat her food? Call me bitter, I don't care. Maybe she'll learn next time to mind her business. I'm not too worried. I did tell my friends I feel bad that she's being iced out, but not enough to lie, which is partially true. I feel for her a bit, but just a bit. I hope she's having the day she deserves. Now for the comments before reading the update. Info. So she's asked before why you don't eat her food? What did you tell her? I'm assuming not the whole story about your ex. He sounds like a tool, by the way. In the past, when we were newer to each other, I just said that my criteria was too specific to explain in a short amount of time. She's cornered me before, and once it stressed me out so much that I asked her to leave it alone because it's a sore topic, but she kept pressing, and I cried. She got my roommate and he took me home. She never apologized for that or even inquired if I was okay, which I didn't care that much about back then. But when she asked what foods I like, I explicitly said I was uncomfortable and asked her not to make me anything. At the next party, she sought me out to say she made something just for me and got upset when I didn't eat it. I'm just done with her pushiness. Just leave me alone. I used to think we could be friends, but now I just plan to ignore her if I can and be basically polite if I need to interact with her. I was just looking at your post history. And wow, I'm so sorry for what your ex did to you. And yeah, screw Tammy. She had a million chances to pull back, but she kept going. And when you cried, she didn't even apologize. She saw you tearing up and kept going. What a bully. Anyone who has to say it's just a joke to defend themselves from how they affect others pisses me off. And her reaction when she saw OP was upset and crying is really telling. If I saw I'd upset someone that much, I'd apologize straight away. Tammy only apologized after she got iced out by everyone else. That's what makes me mad. I don't like being singled out. I was literally just minding my business. She never cares if it's upsetting, and it's been months of this type of behavior. This is the first apology, but of course it's because something affects her now. I don't think you're being petty, OP. You're saying straight up that you accept her apology, but that doesn't mean you are friends anymore, and you won't lie about that. Exactly. If asked, I won't lie. She said she was sorry and I accepted, but I don't want any further contact with her. Now for the update. A few people asked for an update, and honestly, I wasn't sure there would be one because this all feels so boring, but here we are. I chose to stick with my plan and have no regrets. I did tell her I accepted her apology, but I wasn't going to say we're good because we're not. She's not a safe person for me, and more importantly, her actions have caused me to see her as unsafe. Whatever. All that means is I don't want to hang out with her. I'll be cordial when I see her, but we are not friends. No biggie. Not a requirement. Low stakes, right? Well, I was overwhelmed by texts and people asking what happened, so I chose to be neutral and just send a screenshot of her texts to me. Her apology. That way, people could make their own choices, and I felt I was being transparent and not trying to steer anyone's opinions. This past Monday, there was a group gathering. I went because it was the surprise portion of a birthday celebration for a friend, and I didn't want to miss that. I didn't outright promise to be there, but I know it meant a lot to my friend if I could make it. It was at a restaurant, which was a last-minute change that wiped out most of my excuses and made me feel more okay about going. I figured I could stay for a bit, give my gift, and leave early if needed. I met up with my roomies ahead of time and we spent time together before everyone else arrived, which was special in and of itself. Tammy was there. She and her husband Wyatt were among the first to arrive. She brought cookies. Most people politely took one. My roommates all declined, which immediately made the vibe weird. You could visibly see Tammy get upset. When she got to me, she looked at me, said in a snippy tone, "Of course not," and moved on to the next table without waiting for a response. That started some tension with my roommates, who were clearly annoyed on my behalf, but I asked them to please calm down and not make a scene. This wasn't the time or place, and I really didn't care enough for all the drama. They did keep calmish, but they also stuck close to me the entire party, which I appreciated more than I can say. I managed to stay for most of the party and got to talk to new and old friends. It was one of the most normal nights I've had in a very long time. When the birthday boy Jake opened my gift, part of it included food, a dish he's loved for years, and had specifically asked me to make for his birthday. He was genuinely excited and thanked me a bunch, which was sweet, but it was also the moment when Tammy suddenly made this sound. It was almost like a gasp. We looked at her, and she looked like she was about to cry, then rushed to the bathroom. Her husband Wyatt followed her, and they left pretty quickly after that. Later that night, in the group chat, Tammy apologized again, but this time it was more about how hard it is for her to feel unappreciated for her cooking and baking, because it's her love language and she's not near her family. She talked about how cooking is how she shows love, how she learned from her Omi and grew up with German cuisine and diverse recipes, and how painful it is when that isn't received the way she intends. She said she does this to share joy and connect with people, and since Wyatt is the friend and she's just his +1, it's very important to her to connect with all of us, and this makes her feel crappy. There was more, but I muted the chat and didn't look at it again until today after work. When I checked about 30 minutes ago, I saw that while she never mentioned me by name, she framed the situation as being shamed for loving people through food and holding our opinions of her food in high regard. A few people responded that it wasn't about her cooking, and someone did bring up what she said to me at the New Year's Eve party. She replied that she had already apologized, and then someone else posted a screenshot of her text and explained why it wasn't really an apology. At that point, she tagged me directly and said something like, "Okay then, sorry, OP, I'm sorry," and immediately followed it with how she feels like she's walking on eggshells and needs space, so she won't be accompanying Wyatt to events for a while unless it's a birthday. The next birthday coming up is one of my roommates. My roommate replied snarkily, "That's okay, you don't have to come for that," smiley face, and a few people laugh reacted to it. I noticed Tammy's icon drop down, so she definitely read it. She just hasn't responded. At this point, I'm honestly exhausted. I didn't want a public reckoning or to turn a group chat into a courtroom. I just wanted to exist in a shared space without my boundaries being treated like a suggestion, rather than respected space. I'm still keeping my distance and leaning on the people who make me feel safe, like my roomies and Jake. I had my therapy appointment, and I feel good about letting this go and moving past it. I'm less angry and more indifferent. I don't know where this all lands, but I'm trying very hard not to take on responsibility for emotions that aren't mine to manage.